Welcome back to the refuge of secrets behind the stars, the little cove on the internet where noise is sifted away and the heart of a story is all that remains. We don't chase empty sensationalism here, we trace the pulse of real feeling. Tonight, we bring you a chapter that's been murmured about on set, dissected on midnight timelines, and misread by people who only skim headlines. It concerns Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel, and no, it isn't the scandal some were hungry to sell. It's rarer than that, and more valuable. Before we step through the curtain, nestle into our community. Subscribe so you never miss one of our deep dives. If you believe in storytelling that honors dignity while exploring truth, consider joining as a member. You're not just backing a channel, you're investing in a standard. Now dim the lights, and let's slip into a quiet corner of Istanbul. In a city that thrums without pause, where the Bosphorus mirrors the sleepless glow of billboards and apartment windows, true stillness is almost mythical. Yet, last week, Barış and Yağmur found a pocket of silence carved from the chaos. Cheaper commentary framed it as a crisis, a combustible standoff born of long days and brighter spotlights. They got it wrong. What happened in that concealed booth at a tucked-away restaurant was not a break, it was a binding. Those close to the couple, people who understand the fragile architecture of their bond, say Barış initiated the meeting not to dictate terms, but to unlatch his guard. His shoulders carry the heft of an imminent project whispered about under the codename Kuma, and with it comes a weather of expectation. Under that weather, his truest worry wasn't a script or a rating. It was the woman seated across from him. Observers described their table as striking in its calm. In an age where some famous lovers perform affection for the metrics, Barış and Yağmur weren't playing to the room. They were being two people who mattered to each other. Barış's voice never climbed, it settled. He folded away his defenses, looked at Yağmur, whose star has been rising in clean, deliberate arcs, and brought her a confession that was both a promise and a request. He told her that the love he feels doesn't fit inside a lens, and he admitted to a new fear. He could sense the machinery of their jobs, the relentless call sheets, the scouting trips that erase Saturdays, the drafts and rewrites that turn dreams into calendars, gnawing at the edges of their closeness. A barely visible gap had begun to appear, the kind that, if ignored, sprawls open over time. He didn't want to wake up next to a stranger with a matching headline. He wanted proximity that was felt, not posted. He asked to reduce the speed, even a notch. He wasn't bargaining for leftovers from frantic days, he was asking for time with their names stamped on it. He told her about nights where highlighters don't end up in their sheets and mornings where coffee isn't swallowed during a conference call. He pictured a routine that, every single week, taps gently and reminds them, they come first. The work matters, yes. But they matter more than the engine they feed. Let's pause, secrets behind the stars family. Our culture worships the grind. We treat exhaustion like a trophy. Barış asks slices cleanly through that myth. What good is success if it takes the seat that should belong to love? Have you ever noticed your hours slipping away from the person who anchors you? How did you reclaim them? Talk to us in the comments. And if you agree that fighting for a relationship is the most romantic gesture there is, show this video a little love. If he carried any fear about her response, it dissolved with her first look. People who know Yağmur well describe a grounded steadiness, a composure that softens when she's with him. She didn't flinch, didn't mount a defense of her schedule, didn't stack obligations like a wall. She smiled, one of those quiet, knowing smiles that resets the air in a room, and reached across to cover his hand. According to someone they trust, she affirmed him fully. She admitted that work's tide pulls hard and that she's drifted with it, not to flee him, but because ambition can be a demanding sea. She confessed that his presence tunes her to a frequency of peace she can't hear anywhere else. In that hush, she told him she understood, truly, and that her heartbeat matched his. She wanted more hours that belonged only to them. Tabloids tried selling the moment as a showdown, as if he'd laid down an ultimatum and she'd met it with stoicism. Strip the noise away and you find plain, beautiful maturity. Two intensely visible people chose to design their happiness rather than be devoured by their calendars. Friends note that this wasn't the first time Barry's worried about their pace. For months, he's watched her juggle commitments that mirror his own relentless ethic, and he saw the line it sliced through their days. His request wasn't punishment, it was protection. A way of saying, let our private life headline itself. Those close to them say he waited for a moment when the city's roar would fall quiet enough for them to truly listen. Online, the reception has surprised even cynics. Instead of a feeding frenzy about a split, fans filled comment sections with respect. People called it real love, the kind you can't fake with bouquets or fireworks, but the kind you grow with boundaries, honesty, and choice. One sharp voice on our community tab wrote that grand gestures are easy, but consistency takes discipline. That, it seems, is the prize they're chasing. And this story didn't finish at the table. Insiders say they left with a plan, not just warm words. Barış suggested a small escape from the city, a reset in Bodrum. Not the camera-ready Bodrum with staged sightings and perfect linen. He imagined days stretched like horizons, the water exhaling on their behalf, and an agenda with one item. Stillness. He told her, let's be ourselves there. Let's actually rest. No stylists, no outfit lists, no content drafts. Dawn walks when the water first catches light, and night scored only by the Aegean's breath. Friends of Yağmur say she looked at her spinning calendar, inhaled, and did something rare. She shifted the mountains to make space for him. If whispers hold, they'll disappear soon, not to shoot, but to live. Behind that getaway, something more rooted is forming in him. Those in their orbit say this isn't a patch for a busy month. It's the early architecture of a lifestyle. He wants small, guarded rituals stitched into their weeks. Think of evening walks when the city finally lets out a sigh. Think of cooking side by side, finding intimacy in the rhythm of chopping and stirring and tasting. Think of pockets where phones aren't just silenced but exiled, so the only connection is eye to eye. To an outsider, it might sound domestic, even ordinary. To Barış, it's essential. These daily habits are the vital organs of a romance, keeping it warm when the schedule goes cold. He wants their weeks to carry their fingerprints, reminders that love isn't an event to attend, it's a practice you keep. The more you listen to the people around them, the clearer a thread becomes. Barış feels lucky. He tells friends he's grateful to love a woman whose light refuses to dim, grateful that she understands ambition without letting it devour what matters. Some have heard him say it out loud after late shoots, when the night is hushed and truth slips free. I can't believe I get to do this life with her. Not a line for a glossy profile, just the unvarnished sentence that arrives when no one is performing. Naturally, that intentionality triggers the question that sends comments racing. Is this the prelude to something formal? When a man starts carving a shared rhythm with such care, the world notices. When he treats quiet moments like sacred ground, you can't help but wonder whether he's training his heart for forever. No one close has confirmed a ring or a date, and we've heard nothing about venues. But the bond feels altered, in a good way. Steadier. Anchored. In the last few weeks, while her obligations multiplied, he's shown up with a gentleness that reads like commitment. Late-night drives so she doesn't return alone, warm meals sent to long sets, messages that land not as checkpoints, but as tiny embraces. That, more than any snapshot, is why this story is everywhere. Not because of shock. Because of clarity. That dinner still lives vivid in the memories of people who witnessed it from a respectful distance. The server set a small candle between them, neither of them blew it out. They let it burn, a patient flame that kept time with their conversation. Barış leaned in, arms on the table, attention undivided. Yağmur listened with the kind of care you can feel across a room, absorbing love's weight without rushing it. And then there was the smallest thing, the private laugh only they understood. You could hear relief in it. That's the sound a relationship makes when it chooses to live. Work will test them. New scripts will arrive with thick margins, nights will turn short, and pressure will try to take what it can. But they aren't walking back into the storm empty-handed. They have a plan, a Tuesday ritual over pasta, a Friday rendezvous with the sunset, a promise of sea air when they need to remember who they are. They've built a wall of small habits to shelter the kingdom of their love. The headlines tried to ladle out shock, the truth inside is softer and far more sustainable. He asked for time. She agreed. And here we are, witnesses to a lesson in how grown-up love is made. We'll keep watching, not to intrude but to celebrate if they slip down to Bodrum and let those rituals take root. Until then, let their choice whisper something to all of us here at Secrets Behind the Stars. In a world that demands your attention at full volume, the bravest move might be to quietly give your hours to the person you can't imagine losing. If this glimpse moved you, share it, subscribe, and consider joining so we can continue returning with stories that honor what's true. We'll be here, finding the heart inside the noise, just for you.